Hey, this is Sarah from Roots, and I'm here with a couple of tips on hand drill. I have been practicing this for a long time, and I've learned some tricks along the way, and I'm really excited to share them with you. So, this is for somebody who's been giving it a go. You have a kit, you have put in some time, and you're just kind of hitting some hurdles. There are many different positions to get into. This is the one that you want to use when you're pregnant. So I have a lovely goldenrod stock, and I'm just in a cedar board here. I often see some similar things creep up when people are working on hand drill. So one is not keeping the spindle straight. And so if the top of the spindle isn't straight, the bottom of the spindle isn't going to be making that full contact with the board. And so you want to keep this straight. And one helpful way of being able to do that is to kind of sight line past it, the top of the hand drill stock, and keep that in line with something that you're going to pick. Some mark on the floor, something that you can visually see and keep consistent with. So that the stock, you're not going back and forth like this, that you're maintaining that even, straight stock, so that we have consistency on the bottom. And consistency is just going to underscore this whole process. So, straight stock, very important. Something else that's important is just long rotations with the hand. So the longest rotation that you can get away with here, right, would be fingertips all the way to the back of the hand. Truth be told, when you see me do hand drill, I'm probably going to shortchange that just a little bit, but you want to avoid anything like this. So the longer the rotations you can get, the better. And just practicing long rotations is going to make a big difference if you find that you're one who's just kind of like doing these little quick jerky motions. This next one I see come up a lot, and there's a really quick solution to fix it. So when you are going and you're working along your stock, you want to make sure that both of your arms are working. And so it can look like it is when they're not. So like I see this occurred with people using their dominant hand on one side, and it might visually look like you're using both hands, but the way you want to check that is that you can see your elbows are moving. So if I can see both of my elbows are active, engaged, and moving, then I'm using both of my hands. So I'm just kind of hanging out here at the top of the stock to illustrate some of these things. When you're doing this and you're going to move down the stock, you don't want to be skipping fast. You just want to be moving down slowly, as slow as you can go. I make up arbitrary rules where it's like, don't float until you at least get like 5 coals, and floating is to just stay in the same spot. Or if you want to get fancy, you can move up the stock. But so what that looks like, right, is that just slow and steady movement down the stock. Dun, 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 dun. That's what I want to see versus, woo, I'm trying to illustrate that skipping for you, right? Joop, 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 joop. So you want to hold at the bottom, come to the top. None of this. So I think that those are some really primary things that you really want to consider. And then there's just sort of like the overall movement where you want it to be rhythmic. And you want to use technique over exertion. So sometimes that's just going to come in with lots of practice. And you could be like Brad, who made a kit that he was never going to get a coal with, and then he just focused on those principles, being consistent, keeping it straight, and so he could really just focus on that technique, not care about the outcome. When he had a kit in hand, he was able to just like bust out coals. Pretty awesome. I find technique comes out over exertion was like a real game changer for me, you know, and I think that that is a place to like work towards when working with fire. It could be hand drill, it could be bow drill. It can really make a positive difference. And then in general, you just want to think about consistency, consistent straightness in the stock, that there's no wobble in the board. And then that's going to be really helpful because you were working with such a small kit, you don't want to have these other extra elements kind of come in the way and throw up trouble when you don't need it. So I like to lick my hands, my stock, right? And then just practice. Both hands moving, stock is straight. Just a little bit of downward pressure. Slowly moving down the stock, right? I'm gonna try and creep. The slower I move, the better. There's smoke, there's dust. Make sure not to grab up my hair.